Alright, we're back then. Against my best efforts.
Oh, he was just gone. And the letter's just there.
Yeah, he didn't read it.
Huh.
Well, yeah, right there. That's fine. Let me do that and then back the music. There we go. Against my best efforts. I am something of an anxious person, and while you have been under no compulsion to write, your constant correspondence has been well received each time. I do not mean to pry, but after your last letter, some small word that you are still well would do much to soothe this current bout of insecurity. It has been somewhat unpleasant in the weeks since receiving your letter. I loathe dishonesty, which is why I wish to warn you that I may omit some of the details from this account. I watched the Black Death sink a naval frigate,
I think.
Last night. The frigate was ironclad and armed to the gills. One of its cannons scored an excellent shot in the mass of the Death against any but that dreaded vessel. Oh yeah, dread. That shot would have heralded its end, but what the frigate had in defense, it lacked in speed, and what it had in defense, it lacked in range. So I had ups and downs.
He's still not there.
I have been at sea frequently since my infancy, and likely seen more than my share of battles. I should not have looked, but the clumping, floating islands of rats bobbing over to and overtaking the fringe were far too much for me. There was also some damage done to our vessel, and though we escaped our attacker, we lost a gunner. She was a friend, and he loved, and as loud as the men on the deck may be, the ship feels too quiet for her absence. Please write back soon. I remain your anxious and sad friend.
I don't think he ever read it.
Yeah. Is he still gone? There we go.
Yeah, he's gone, and then there's just letters everywhere.
If you have written your letter, it has been lost. I cannot fathom as to why else one would not arrive. I cannot have said anything to offend you, and regardless of how you could have responded, nothing could offend me as much as this oppressive silence. You will explain the matter at once. Yours, Hawley, who hopes to continue to refer to himself as Assistant Professor of Super Biological Studies at the university.
Does he finally send one? No.
It's just dark.
Now it's the 20th. Oh, now he's going a little crazy.
Going into the occult. The papers have not reported on this untimely death of an Anitich professor, and thus I can draw no conclusion but that I am being ignored. What have I done? Where once you pen such words of encouragement and esteem, I am met with silence. I am baffled, Lucical. Write at once. Hawley, Faraday.
No, finally. My most noble and patient Faraday, I cannot apologize for the gap in correspondence. Upon reading your letter dated mid-spring, my mind was seized with the most diverting line of inquiry, and I found myself lost within it, helpless with resistance.
Pursuing. Yeah.
I have made less headway than hoped, and am forced to admit that while the idea is a grand one, it will take some doing before I can conceive of a way to bring it to pass. The human body is too complex, and our tools are too firmly rooted in the physical, and not in the supernatural. I will have to build from the ground up, like man carving the first shard of one rock from itself, fashioning the first blade. But again, I am ahead of myself. That I am well and not consumed by some demon is plain by the existence of this letter. You also inquired as to whether or not I read fiction. By way of my sincere apology, I offer you the enclosed volume. It is a favorite of mine, and I cannot look upon the pages without wading into a great body of nostalgia. There's no book!
Yeah, well, not yet.
There are words within these pages that hold special meaning to me alone, the product of youthful misunderstandings or similarities to the faces and locales which I knew, and thus could picture while reading in church. It is still fashionable to make small offerings of that which is meaningful to us, and it is thus I place this precious token on the altar of our friendship. It is a seafaring tale which sparked in me no small amount of enthusiasm for exploration, and though I have explored ideas, not foreign lands, several of the ideals presented within this book are lined with those I continue to wish to uphold. Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
I cannot write you a letter long enough to fill the empty days, but instead please take these words which I have now penned, but then have penned me.
No.
Scoff. Tell me that it is pure drivel. Roll your eyes as you read. Burn it. Only tell me that it is accepted and that I am forgiven. I had thought my letters my letters to you a little distraction, and scarcely imagined them to be the importance with which you imbued them. I shall not make that mistake a second time. Though you must understand, there are times when my research can cause me to withdraw for weeks on end, and it is primarily for this reason why I require assistance regarding my classes. Self-control may rank among the virtues, but when there are secrets such as I am glimpsing left to be plundered, I cannot speak toward any desire to withhold myself from their pursuit. Occasionally I will be like this, but you must understand that it is not out of any lack of esteem for you. In truth, you and all others stand to benefit a great deal from what I may learn. So it is your forgiveness and your understanding which I beg. You have not wasted your hopes and your time in correspondence with me, and all will be prepared for you before the term begins. If we are merely colleagues, I shall understand why. But for my part, I do indeed remain your friend. Haven't been good friends for a while.
Oh. The 27th. You great and incomprehensible ass. Of course I will forgive you. The slight is very little in comparison with the fears I had. You had indeed perished, but as my adoptive mother says, it is better to be enraged than afraid. And I may have taken it a trifle too far. Now you didn't deserve it. Is this really how you conduct yourself? It is certain that you do require assistance, perhaps more than I am capable of, if my surgical duties include regularly dislodging your head from your posterior. Wish very much to stay upset with you, but the emotion is fleeting. Your letter is too earnest. I refuse to believe that it could have been composed with an ounce of artifice.
Yeah.
Artifice. Well, beyond the artifice used to twist it, manners, and into words, I suppose. You'll write once a month. I cannot stand to go longer between letters. If it is simply a postcard that states, I am a buffoon
Artifice.
Yeah, artifice. Yeah, I said it right. Artifice.
Well, you were saying artifice.
Artifice. I am a buffoon and obsessed with work. H. Then I shall content myself with that. Whoa. Ha ha. He likes it. Now it's a different tone over here. Well, I shall not be contented, but I shall know you are in the land of living. If such an academic life can be called living. You are my friend, and I remain your friend. Howley Fairley. P.S. Do you have a nickname? I am afraid I have lost all respect for you from this, and I must call you by ass, if not given a suitable alternative.
Hanging out with his ass.
Yeah.
Postcard marked the 9th of... I'm a buffoon and obsessed with work.
Oh.
That's all. That's my whole thing. No.
Yeah, I should have looked.
My dear Faraday, a jest, I assure you, a jest.
He's somewhere else.
See, I am also writing you a proper letter. I will stand against the siren call of research for an hour or so longer, whatever is necessary to complete this letter.
Yeah, in a bar.
I remind you that our place of work is an exceptional formal establishment and not the place for first names, let alone terms of endearment. That being said, my friends call me Harry, and I implore you to do the same. Does Hawley have a short form? One might suppose Lee, perhaps, but I will wait until I hear back from you. This is not the sort of thing that would do lying awake. Sleep inaccessible. Utterly flummoxed. As to how Hawley might be shortened.
No, I was just thinking hairy ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
In my haste to respond, I realized that I had not offended my condolences for the death of your crewmate. You write that she was a friend, and from your letters, I gather that this ship has been your home for much of your life. Had you known her long, there is some differences between the loss of an old friend and that of a new friend, but both can hurt as deeply, for at times connections can be forged fast, especially one would expect while in such close quarters at sea. You also mentioned that drink was a popular pastime on your ship, and that the captain's wife was something of a brewer. I wasn't raised in Enitich and come from a smaller town in the north. My father was a pastor, and there was little in the way of entertainment beyond his sermons each week. Small stills and big appetites could be found there as well. And while I, of course, now prefer a quiet, stimulating evening at the club to one of the bars of my youth, there was a certain rough charm to a gang of youth boys attempting to drink their weight in whatever swill was available at the time. But the more distance I put between myself and that younger terror, the better. I was once told that my accent comes out after my third drink, and that was the day I limited myself to 2 in evening. Mustn't have too much of a good thing, but if you still see fit to bring along a bottle, then I will happily partake of 2 full glasses.
Oh.
Though I suppose the bar is on my mind, because I will be visiting one. You're in one!
What tomorrow?
Though I suppose the bar is on my mind, because I know, I already
No, but then it
visiting
added.
one tomorrow to take readings.
Yeah.
A colleague mentioned that if my current pursuit included places of debauchery, then a place that ensnares victims through the lure of drink would be a promising locale. He is absolutely correct, of course, and I made contact with the owner of the bar right away. She did not seem to mind so long as she was paid for her efforts. I will, of course, be forced to stay for an entire evening in the wretched place, but one must take pains along the path to the truth. I remain, as always, your friend.
Let's see what's going on over here.
Happy.
Yeah. Harry.
P.S. I was speaking to the provost not 2 days ago, and when he inquired as to certain details of your life, I realized that I don't even know your name, the name of your vessel.
Yeah.
Ah. Oh, so is that what happens sometimes when it shakes? That it shows the other person?
Oh, reacting.
Yeah. I have been addressing these letters to a postbox in the southeast coast, but that is the extent of my knowledge. All I could remark was that it must be some extraordinary quick vessel located along the Middle Sea. Quick and clever enough to outpace the Black Death. We did, I confess, have some number of good-natured jokes accusing you of being a member of that dread crew. So please allow me to clear your name, or the staff will be quite disappointed when you emerge from some trade ship, both eyes and legs intact. PPS. But if you do have a parrot, I should quite like to meet her.
Yeah. The pirate life. Yeah. My surprisingly jovial Harry. Harry, it is then. I am sorry. I am sorry to disappoint you, but I do not have any nicknames worthy of repeating. They call me several things on this ship, many of them meant to be affectionate, I'm sure. But I would much prefer you not to treat me with the same casual, sisterly teasing, if it's all the same to you. It is a wonder, is it not, the modern postal service. My adoptive mother has mentioned several times how fortunate I am to be able to correspond with you so rapidly, and while at sea, no less. Spare me the marveling over what is, and instead I would always prefer to look towards what shall be.
Yeah, he's all good.
Yeah. Oh, now there. Regarding your postscript, I do not own a parrot, but your sea-loving mind should be pleased to learn that one of our crew does indeed have one. It is not uncommon for our vessel to transport animal passengers as well as human. It is an investment, you see. Animals from more tropical climates sell well to aristos and the rich, and there are some creatures which seem to enjoy the travel. I've even heard stories of folks who train their birds to pick the locks of their cages and fly home to the ship after a day or so. In this way, the same bird may be sold several times, and companionship between man and animal is not broken. Parrots are fiercely loyal creatures, 10 times as devoted as a dog. The sight of a parrot with its master is a thing of singular sweetness. Yep. Balanced only by the wretchedness with which the awful thing treats all others. Loyalty is a strange thing, is it not? It is not. It is so beautiful when one is being loyal to you, and so chilling when you are left on the outside of it. For a person to value the company of another so highly, logic no longer enters into the matter. Our ship is filled with that of sorts of loyalty. 2 gentlemen, a Mr. Sutus, and Minx Shade, come and go every few years, working for their passage from one continent to another, always together. Sutus has the distinctive ears of a member of the fair folk, and can ever be seen throwing back his head, laughing at some terribly unamusing joke. He would be a poor worker if he were able to sit still, but as his hands cannot help but be at something, the captain keeps him busy, seemingly at all hours. While Shade, to my best guess, while identifying as neither male or female, instead has taken on the properties of a liquid and lays about the ship as casual as you please. Okay, a big one. Hold on. It is not until Sutis has requested of them that they spring into action, and as the two work together, both of their faces are twin-like in their eagerness and zest for life. The crew mutters that Shade might be some servant or marionette of Sutis, that they do not come to life without the will of Sutis. But, while I may have difficulty distinguishing expressions, my own poor eyesight is part of it, but it does not matter how close I get. The nervousness of a false or true smile are lost to me. Another reason I despise bold-faced untruths. Shade and Sutis' voices have depth of a little tell, and the quite little rhythms rhythms of inner tenderness. If those two do not love one another, then I have never seen love. And while I have not per se known a real and true love myself, my adoptive parent are a disgustingly blatant example of it. One always so damnably proud of the other, even when what she's done is objectively quite unordinary. I suppose it must be nice to find such joy in the mediocre, but it is lonesome and obnoxious to be on the outside of it. Have you ever loved together? As I said before, there is a parrot aboard at the moment, and she delights in screaming. And didn't you know that she delights as well in screaming of others? It is impossible not to shout at her to be quiet, at which point she rears a great crest of feathers at the top of her head and begins to scream back at you all the louder. Were she a woman, the raising of that crest would be the same as a wide Cheshire grin, and screaming, well, I suppose that might be the same as a cry of joy. One cannot scream at a parrot. One may only punish them with silence. But it is difficult. We have no cats to make short work of the creature, for the captain will not have them on her ship. For its parts accused the birds have made friends with the overabundance of rats in our hold, and delights in snatching the food off the plates and dropping it down on them. Few things can make the captain smile, but both the rats and the birds are smart, and occasionally the parrot will give a chittering cry, in which one or two rats will flock, upon which point she will append her food dish, screaming with delight as the rats feast. No doubt a great full for their supper. The captain always praises the bird as little trick, and while the bird will not consent to be petted by any but its owner, it does seem to enjoy acknowledgement. I suppose a little acknowledgement, even if it's not adore, is still enough to make it happy time to time. Your friend, without nickname, Hawley Faraday.
Well, that was a lot of words.
Yes.
Close to 10,000 yet.
That was a lot of bird talk.
My dear friend without nickname. 1 month until the start of the term. I await Okay, so is this almost over?
Hope so.
I await either your arrival or your letter within the next 2 weeks. Is he there? Yeah.
With a creepy grin.
When you make for it, someone off by evening mail. Mail is collected thrice daily and edited, so it shall reach me very quickly, and we shall be able to arrange to meet at our leisure. The modern postal service indeed. Have you been able to find lodgings yet? The department chair mentioned that he had written to him asking if there were any apartments within the city who looked favorably upon faculty and might be willing to cut a deal on lodgings. My dear Hawley, if you are in need of financial assistance, please do not overlook myself as a source of aid. I own my own house in Adidich, and it has 2 guest rooms. You may stay for as long as you require, for once you have your paycheck in hand, I am certain that finding permanent room will be no difficulty at all for you. Your little tale of the parrot on your ship was utterly charming, and with a light edit or 2, you might want to keep at the ready for staff events. I am certain that it would delight others, for I found myself days afterward chuckling at it to myself over my evening coffee. What an intelligent beast. So my heart does reach out to it if it so dearly loves its current master, will it not be desperately saddened once sold? It was nearly enough to make me wish that there were one of those criminal birds of which you spoke. Better to be
a scoundrel.
I assume that there is nothing to be done, and hope that its new home will dote upon it just the same. And there are truly people of a non-binary persuasion aboard your ship. You must tell me all about them. I am fortunate to live in a progressive a city as MJ, but the public here has not quite figured out its feelings. There is a general sort of consensus that, much like with one's supper, it is impolite not to partake of the whole of whatever is placed in front of you. In some parts of the world, there are men forced to live out their lives as women, and thus it would be the height of ingratitude for a man here in Addertich to not wear the trousers and pronouns so graciously bequeathed to him by society. I myself have a friend from a religious home who was fortunate enough to not have been disinherited as so many are. After insisting on his male identity, he confided in me that on occasion he quite missed being treated as a lady, but had heard of others who had all respect revoked for such greed. This is not to say that there are no people here who live openly adhering to neither gender, but it is a careful androgynous line they tread. Rather than the beauty of experimentation, it seems that society has decided that they should live without the benefits of either. That if one wishes to have none of their downsides of gender, they must also renounce any benefits. There's a certain fairness, I suppose, and I find myself tongue-tied when I attempt to argue against that perspective, but it does vex me so. It does, however, vex me in private, and these thoughts are deeply unfashionable. I have considered omitting this bit from the letter and rewriting
bored.
Rewriting as is my custom when I am too indulgent in writing, but I will put my faith in your discretion once more. It is difficult to remain in low spirits. Your arrival shall occur within the month. I have made a list of restaurants and gardens which might be of interest to you. Had I been at sea for months, I would want a chance to stretch my legs. There are several which are lovely in the evenings. Parasols are only appropriate for women, otherwise there are many gardens that, even this time of season, are flush with bright flowers. Aditich is a cold city, there is no doubt of that, and I hope you have prepared with a winter wardrobe. I know many who have immigrated
Yeah.
from the southern coast who mistakenly assumed that a light sweater would be enough to protect them in a snowstorm. But then the innocent joy with which they met their first snowfall, that would be a marvelous way to see your face. Light with a novel, wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Still say, please forgive my Mandarin. You may react as you please to whatever you please. I am far too over-eager to share the city with you. I must cut this letter short, lest my eagerness embarrass me still further.
Yes, all has meandering.
Yours, Harry Litter.
Don't.
P.S. Would you be offended if I took you to a distiller of rum? She is quite proud of her work. Do you have a taste for it? Or is your palate staunchy? Loyal to what your mother has made? Would you prefer to try new beverages? And what of shows? Music halls are not really in vogue for those of our position, but there are some that are a touch more respectable. The opera is much more refined, but casual attendance has been going out of style. Would you find yourself bored by 4 acts of some comic persuasion? I cannot stand the tragedies, but this season has 2 shows with the most unintelligible shenanigans, one of which being an absolute favorite of mine, and the soprano who has joined this past year. Her voice, strong but light and clear as a bell. Let me know and I shall procure 2 tickets instead of 1.
Yes! I am here.
I am outside of your house.
My
exuberant
friend. Procure the 2nd ticket and address your next letter to this inn. This landfall will be my last for the term. As upset as I may be with that addled-brained department chair, I suppose it is working out. It would be very obliged. Is it? Obliged.
Obliged.
To make use of your guest room for the next 1 or 2 weeks. I am an invisible flatmate, and you shall scarcely see the finest glimpse of me outside of my room, unless you decide that you wish to. I have much to say, and this smudge on the screen. It's fine. And this could be my longest letter yet. Damn it. But at this point, there's a little reason not to save it, or for when we are face to face. I will send this letter out post haste. Is that anything? No. Yeah. Is it even wordplay, or simply literal now? And wonder that I might have a response from you as soon as tomorrow. Your extremely close friend. Yes, and and by that I do not wish to make assumptions. I merely, Oh,
what happened?
well, just look on the other side.
No, that's fine.
It is merely wordplay. Words fail. See you soon.
Words fell.
Oh, straight into that.
My exceptionally close friend, it is literal and figurative, as the post is now frankly much too slow. I have sent the owner up with this letter. Closer than you may have considered.
Harry.
Wait, are they in the same place? To Professor Harold Elizabeth. It is uncommon that I write to my staff, but with your irregular schedule, it has seemed more prudent to, and this also ensures that you have my complaint in writing.
Yes.
Your assistant professor is utterly unbearable. I had taken note when you mentioned that he might come from meaner stock than most of the scholars here, but I scarcely expected that you would have truly employed an absolute nobody like this to our university.
Yes.
An eccentric, yes, I well expected someone like you to have found an unusual or even bohemian hire, but from his mouth come the most creative and disgusting curses. He managed to stub his toe in the library, and the head of the geology department heard Faraday let loose with a colorful entreatment that the bookcart's mother attempted to fit an animal of considerable weight and size into a potion of anatomy that, unless I am very much mistaken, bookcarts lack.
They said a lot of words that I didn't like.
Little matters like that are obnoxious, but what goes beyond the pell is that apparently he has given no less than 3 failing grades on the labs and papers of one Witten Hall.
No, it's because of earphones.
The White family has a long and highly respectable legacy.
Hey, come back here.
It's better over there. The White family has a long and highly respectable legacy, and young Whiteberry's father's father was among the first class to graduate from our halls, and both the university and the family have been lavish in their long-standing appreciation of one another.
No, just the hit with the music.
We certainly should and will show a little kindness towards those who have shown such fondness of us in the past. Withhold's grades must be given a charitable bit of grace in the future, and you will also inform your assistant that he must refrain from comparing students things that include but are not limited to slow mammals, characters from children's rhymes, inanimate objects utilized for self-gratification. If I may speak frankly, so for the God's sake, man, get your assistant in order. Your research is promising, and all the more so with him by your side, but you have tenure. He does not. Yours, Professor
Simon.
Keep going.
Why are we writing now? Harry, while I could say this is to your face, I wanted to thank you for all you have done for me this year. I have spoken to the department chair, and that's all it said. And though I could tell that he still does not admire my demeanor, he has admitted that the biology department has flourished this year, and that my efforts have made a considerable difference. But without your initial and continued support, I know that I would not have made it. How do you function so well? How do you persist and manage to smile in the face of all of these simpering tweets? Oy. My home ship may have... Yes, my home ship may have been a little more than a pile of rats, but at least rats do not lie to you. It may have been loud, but what it shouted had a little guile. A little guile. Neither an inch nor the ship suits me, but it is within the walls of your home that I feel most at ease. You're a bit of a stuffed shirt, and you care far, far too much about the others people think. But not even you could keep a cork in the font of energy and zest you have for life. I've never thought to develop a taste for the opera, but then I'd never known that they write them in language I understood, or thought to bring a libretto, and whisper comments and make jokes, to watch them with the combination of earnest love and sharp tongue for parody with which you enjoy your favorite things. I can see you wince when I make a misstep in public, and the shame that I feel for myself compounded when I realize that I have shamed you as well. But you utilize your social prowess to steer me safely through the ear of those who would have hold a grudge, and who chastised me with a little for my missteps. On the ship's shipmates and shipmates are not as gentle. The crux of the matter is that I wish to thank you, and not only that, I wish to ask if you would accompany me to dinner. I know that we dine together several times a week already, and that you hardly bat an eye at the cost of any dinner which I purchase, but I should like to invite you at my own expense. It is nothing fancy, but there's a comfortable pub, and if you would break your little rule for me, I would be very happy to hear what you sound like after the third drink. The esteem I harbor for you is immense, but both for your mind and as I am bold today, and for you as a man. I feel as though I have known you for ages, but still, there is so much that I do not know yet about you, and would like to come to know better. Yours with gratitude and affection, Hawley.
The private logbook of Harold.
It's much different.
God, what have I done now?
Oh my. A letter to myself.
Oh, it's over.
Oh.
This template teaches
Yeah.
all the music.
Yes, a lot.
And that. Play tested by Sushi.
Yeah.
Thank you for playing. This has been a prequel to that one that we still haven't played,
Yep.
which can be played right now.
Yep. Maybe someday.
And now that's there.
Oh my.
Well, you can't use that.
Yeah, I
I'll
know.
spoil everything.
Alright, so then.
Bye.